Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your questions. Ali Moreno, Shaka Hislop with us here in the studio. We also welcome Nedum Onuoha, Aage Fjortoft, and Jan's special friend behind him. Show us, Jan, go on.
Hey! I can't believe that at any door I am in Manchester, they will have a photo of Erling Haaland.
I know,
right.
Why don't you go and stay at Nedum's house? Has he invited you?
Well, no, he never had because he doesn't have any photos of Haaland. Nathan is the guy who goes to the city shop and buy that 1% shirt, you know?
Yeah.
And 99 others for Haaland.
Correct. Jan, I saw you at the game today. And you did something which was quite embarrassing. Do you remember what it was before the game?
No.
Do you see what it was? Somebody kicked a ball was heading in your direction. You tried to control it. Do you remember what happened?
Oh, no.
No. What did I do?
Oh.
I took it up,
It
didn't I?
slid right under your foot, Jan.
Oh.
It slid right under your foot. It's heartbreaking
Jan,
to
come
see.
on.
I want to explain that. Yeah, exactly. There was a long ball from the keeper of Brighton. He was he was training, and I thought, this is my chance to show that I'm not a normal journalist. I can get that ball, and it went under me. Thanks for telling me.
Well done, Nedum. Good on. Nedum, would you considering swapping Jimi Hendrix for Haaland just so Jan can come stay at your house?
No, this is his thing. I've got Jimmy, he's got Erling. It's all good.
Here we go then. Shaka, mind going back between the sticks to face some Valverde shots?
No.
How hard did he hit that today?
Goodness me. I mean, you could always tell when the ball barely rotates. When a striker hits it and the ball barely rotates, it speaks to how true that the strike was. And Valverde hit that as hard and as true as anybody could.
Would there even be a courtesy dive involved?
No.
Why would I get my shit all dirty for that?
Why waste anybody's time?
I waste a good laundry session. I'm not gonna get my clothes dirty just for that.
I can also say, by the way, that when you hit it that cleanly, not that I experienced this with any sort of frequency, you usually don't feel the ball coming off your foot.
All right.
When you hit it like that so cleanly, and that ball is taking the shape that you want it to take, usually you don't even feel it.
What's the most out of order you've ever been in training or a match? And did you know it yourself or did you have to be told? Quite calm characters out of everyone. I'm kind of a little bit drawn to Nedum. Did you lose it on the pitch?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't lose it very often, but when I did, I was completely lost. And there was one game in particular, it was QPR versus Crystal Palace, and it was the Super Sunday game. So it's a game which we had to win, and then out of nowhere we're like 3-0 down basically because we were in a relegation dogfight, and I was getting really frustrated because we were kind of struggling out wide. And then in the game, the referee made the decision where I was running back to claim a ball, and I got tripped up by my current guy who was my friend now, Dwight Gale, the attacker for Crystal Palace. And so I got up getting ready to take the free kick, and the ref actually gave them the free kick because he said I tripped him up, and it was literally a yard outside the box. And I left. My mind left. There are pictures of me online. I'm pointing in his face like this and basically threatening to fight him on the field in real time. And the best thing that ever happened to me was the fact I only got a yellow card because I was lost. That 2 minutes, I blacked out. The amount of abuse I was giving him, when I look back at it, I hold my hands up and say it's a miracle that I didn't have a 3-4 game ban because I'd completely lost the plot.
Wow, the red mist descended.
I had in training, Dan, at one of my 4 clubs in England. I won't mention which club it was. So I never have a fight because I would probably lose any fight in the world. I'd never fighting in my life. But in training, we had a 5 against 5, and one of the players that we got into is like you do in training, and they thought it was all over. And I was sitting in the dressing room, and this Englishman, I have to say it was an Englishman, I just have a glimpse of a shadow from my left, and he wanted to knock me straight down in the dressing room. And the problem with the English is that they learn in school how to break noses. And we don't learn that in Norway. We are friendly, we are diplomatic. So he was standing there with having a fight. And I, maybe a coward, but I said, no, I'm not having the fight. So I went to the manager, and this player was suspended for 3 weeks. And I remember every day I was just waiting for my car to be broken or anything, but After 3 weeks, he came over and said, "I'm sorry, Jan," and I said, "Yeah, okay, well, let's go on."
Wow, Jan, there's a lot to kind of dissect from that. The first one.
Yeah, you think the story was too kind?
No, I think it's just interesting that you took you snitched on him, basically.
No, because for all kids listening to this, it's much easier to just stand up and say, no, I won't do that, and then you win over them.
Yeah, but you can't go and tell the teacher.
Of course, I tell the teacher I didn't want to live with a killer in the dressing room. Of course, you gotta go.
Wow. Sounds Scottish more than English, but there we go.
I lost it. It was in college, actually.
Right.
And I may have had a little bit of anger issues back then.
Okay.
I don't know if I've transitioned out of those anger issues.
Depends how.
And I actually had pulled my hamstring, and he was taking me off the field. The coach was.
Okay.
To protect me.
Right.
But of course, at that point, I was not thinking in those terms. I wanted to keep playing. And as I got face to face with my coach at that time, I was also telling him, "Why are you playing this guy? Why are you playing this guy? Why are you playing that guy?" So I not only did I go down the path of questioning why is he taking me out, I also was questioning the choices that he was making in terms of players that were going on the field. Needless to say, I had to go back into the office the next day and apologize profusely.
Wow. and you an apology isn't something I
No, it's not natural.
associate.
It doesn't come natural.
By the way, Nedum has just sent me the picture, which obviously doesn't help for the moment, but we will put it on social media later, of him shouting at the referee.
Oh,
and he looks
no.
he looks gone.
Wow.
Absolutely.
By the way, and strong. Very strong.
It's all the red bits.
Everything is tensed up in this picture.
Okay.
Wow.
Who had the worst downfall? Ronaldo this season at United or Shaka going from a Maserati to a hybrid? Very good. Very good. Now, Jan, I understand you were in the tunnel with Ronaldo.
It was unbelievable, Dan. As you know, after games, you go down. I do when I do the interviews. I go down to the dressing room area again quite early. So I was asking for a television, and they said, "Yeah, it's in the tunnel. You can stand there." So I'm looking at the television live, and I see Ronaldo going off the pitch, and it takes me 2 seconds before I realize he's going where I am going. I'm standing, so he comes past me, and then that was in the 87th minute. 4 minutes later, he has swapped his tracksuit, and he was leaving the stadium, and nobody knew that at the time that he left, because I was standing there all on her own. So I was thinking, well, on Twitter, this will be the biggest history of them all, that he's leaving stadium. But as the good guy I am, again I went to the teacher, and I went to Manchester United and said, "Listen, I know something that you don't know." The head of communication, he said, "What is that?" "Your player, Cristiano Ronaldo, just left the stadium." And he said, "Oh my God." And 12 hours later, it was out, of course, because there were a lot of people outside. But I felt like I was not the most tabloid journalist at the moment, but I still think that I didn't take advantage of my position in the tunnel.
Wow, Jan, we're learning a lot about Jan and his honesty throughout all of this. Jan, what do you make of these stories that are breaking at the moment that Chelsea could be interested in getting Ronaldo in January?
Yeah, well, I can understand them, because they got to do something. I've been a defender of Cristiano Ronaldo, because a lot of his teammates over the years, there have been all stories about how he's influenced the dressing room, but he's winning them trophies, winning them games. They all say he's good in the dressing room, showing them being a role model, but there is point of no return. And to be honest, Dan, when he's leaving the stadium, I was nearly running after him, and I said, "This is the most stupid thing I've ever seen, because you can't do that." And when we then realized that he didn't want to go on, okay, you left the warm-up, okay, and then you're leaving the stadium. So I can't see there is any way of Cristiano Ronaldo still being at Manchester United. It's a bit like when Manchester United said that Rangnick should stay as a consultant. We were all laughing at that as well. There can't be a way back. Should they then start on Monday as normal? Okay, Cristiano Ronaldo, thanks for leaving the stadium. I know we have a new game this week. Great you've been a part of that. So I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo even helps Ten Hag now being a greater leader. And I think Ten Hag is the right man for Manchester United. But now this is the time now for Cristiano Ronaldo to go. And Chelsea, with this American owner and a team that need a goal scorer, maybe that could be the thing.
If you're Potter, do you want him, Nedum?
It's a tough one, that. I think you know what everything that Ronaldo brings, you know his goals, all that stuff, he's a winner. But I think unfortunately we're left in a sort of funny position where Ronaldo essentially is the white elephant to a lot of teams, because these teams, they're not just building for right now, they're building for their futures. And in somebody who's going to be 38, I think in February next year, is that really part of the plan? You know, most of these clubs, when they give these new managers contracts and stuff, they're trying to create a long-term plan. I don't think Ronaldo's part of Potter's long-term plan, but it's not to say they won't arrive there, because they do have some very ambitious owners, and maybe they're the ones who want to see him come in.
Exactly, good point. Because I don't think you say right, Dan. Does Potter want him, or does the American owner want him? I think that is a major answer or question now the next couple of days.
Well, marketing-wise, it's Ronaldo, you know? I mean, it's going to bring attention, it's going to sell shirts. But from a footballing on the pitch perspective...
From a football on the pitch perspective, I certainly don't think it's a good... Well, I don't want to say long-term, because nothing about Ronaldo's is long-term. But having seen Chelsea's struggles in front of goal over recent weeks, even though they've not lost, maybe he ticks that box for them for 6 months. But otherwise, I don't... You asked during this show, I can't remember who you asked, who finishes higher between Manchester United and Chelsea. And I think it's Man U. Right. Because I think Chelsea are going to struggle to score the kind of...
So could Ronaldo change that answer?
He could. He very well he could, because as much as we have criticised him, he's Manchester United's leading scorer last season. So maybe he's an upgrade on what they have right now.
Not just a Ronaldo, but a motivated Ronaldo.
Yeah.
A something to prove Ronaldo. A chip on the shoulder, the world is against me, Manchester United, all this sort of thing.
Ali getting taken off with a hamstring injury.
Absolutely, yes, very angry. And
why you pick him?
Yes. Yes.
But what is
for 6 months? For 6 months.
For 6 months.
It's a short-term period.
That's 5. Jan?
But Dan, I saw another team who needed a striker today, who needed a short-term solution, Manchester United. So let's not make ourselves lazy here, because Manchester United need a goal scorer as well. And so all the argument for Chelsea and against Manchester United is, of course, was Ali saying, he needs to have someone to show. He wants to show Chelsea or show the football world that he can still do it, because I think his time at Manchester United now goes to an end.
Jan calling Shaka lazy, we'll move on. Do you think the month off during the World Cup, Nedum, will help or hurt Haaland's form?
I think he'd obviously rather be there, but I don't think it's really going to have that great an impact, to be honest. I think for City, and the case with lots of other teams, been able to sort of manage that time off is going to be key. Maybe it's good to have a break. Maybe it's time to train that little bit more, to work on physical elements, because I think when they have all these games, like 3 games in a week, training doesn't happen that much. So maybe little elements of his training, working on the technical side of things, perhaps that could benefit him, but you just don't know. And in some ways, I think that's an exciting part about this build-up to the World Cup now, and the World Cup itself. Like, we're used to seeing the World Cup signifying the end of a season, but now people are going back, and it's time to crack on and really push on in the business end of it. And I'm sure for Haaland, he'll be very, very inspired in terms of his club side, but they're just thinking, I want to be a part of the next World Cup. I want to have the impact on the very, very highest level. So I think it inspires him watching some of the best in the world play, and they want to come back in and have a big impact again.
What's he going to do, Jan?
I think that we tend sometimes to forget that last season he had a lot of trouble with his injuries. We haven't heard that.
Jan just ignores my questions.
No, I will come back to your question, because I think that
it's a politician's answer. Come back to your question when I'm well and ready.
But it's very important to what he will gonna do. He will spend those 2-3 weeks to build up everything, take a bit off, and then he will start building up his muscles again, because so far this season he hadn't had a lot of injuries. He had it all last season on different levels. So I think that is no problem for him to fill 3 weeks of good training. And I think it's a very bad news for the Premier League defenders that he will have 2-3 weeks out. And maybe he can take Norway to a World Cup as another Norwegian number 9 did some years ago.
Oh, yeah, we know who that was. Jan, where will you be for the World Cup? With Haaland or at the World Cup?
Oh, choices. Tough choice.
No, I won't be in Qatar. I will probably talk to you a couple of times.
Oh, it sounds cryptic, doesn't it?
When you're talking to Jan, be careful what you say because he's going to go tell the teacher.
Nedum, why don't teams man-mark Haaland? I think they used to do it to Maradona and Pele with a back three. One can shadow him.
Yeah, the reason I think that's a bad idea is because he's 6'4", he's quite strong, he's very quick, he's a very good finisher. So realistically, who are you putting on him? It's not really like that great a matchup for some. I think even today, I think Dunk was kind of man-marking him for a significant part of the game. But then as soon as Edison starts playing the ball in long, you know, he goes from being touch tight to him to just watching him go and do something else. So I don't think it's the brightest of ideas, and Haaland's obviously clever enough, and with the sort of players around him and the manager around him, someone marks him, he would just pull himself out of an area and then create a big gap for somebody else. So it's not really that simple. Football isn't that simple, and teams will make adjustments, and the best in the world, in the end, I guess they just end up having their way.
Final question, Jan. More likely, Union Berlin to win the Bundesliga or Arsenal to win the Premier League?
Union Berlin. Most unlikely.
Most likely.
Most likely is that Arsenal will win the Premier League because Union Berlin, that is an unbelievable story. That is to say that Fulham should win the Premier League, to compare it with another team.
Or Leicester. Do you remember when Leicester won it?
Yeah.
5,000 to 1 they were apparently.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.